people. Today we will take a look at your respiratory system. Please note that your respiratory system comprises the lungs and a sequence of airways leading to the external environment. Okay, it functions in providing oxygen to the body and eliminating carbon dioxide from the cells of the body. That is for your respiratory system. Before we move on, let's take a look at your ventilation. Your ventilation, that is the movement of air in and out of the lungs. And your external respiration, that is the exchange of gases, or sorry, exchange of inspired air for oxygen in the blood. Okay, exchange of inspired air. Please note that external respiration takes place in the lungs. And then your transport of gases, that is the conveyance of oxygen and carbon dioxide to and from the cells through your oxygen carrying cells or your red cells. And then your internal respiration here, this is the exchange of carbon dioxide to, exchange of carbon dioxide for oxygen in the vicinity of your cells. In internal respiration, carbon dioxide is released, okay, from your peripheral cells, and oxygen is is released from your red cells. Okay, in your internal respiration, this one takes place in your peripheral tissues, while your external respiration, that is, or it happens in your lungs. Here an illustration of your respiratory tract or your respiratory system from the nasal cavity going to your lungs. Okay, please note that your extrapulmonary passages, they are lined by pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium with numerous goblet cells. Again, going back, when we talk about your epithelium, your respiratory tract is lined by, we learned that your respiratory tract is lined by your pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium with numerous goblet cells accordingly. Okay, please note that your bronchi undergoes extensive branching and the diameters become progressively smaller, okay, from your trachea going to your bronchi. And yes, also, as the diameters become progressively smaller, there is also a gradual decrease in the height of the lining epithelium. Okay, from a tall pseudostratified columnar epithelium, there is a gradual decrease as you go through, as the diameter becomes smaller. Also, there is a gradual decrease in the amount of cilia present, and then there is a gradual decrease also with the number of goblet cells in these tubules. Okay, that is for your passages. What we said earlier, your respiratory system primarily functions for oxygenation of blood. Oxygen is taken in by your red cells, and then carbon dioxide is uh, expelled, or yes, it is eliminated by the lungs. Okay, it involves transport of gases, and you have a conducting portion and a respiratory portion present in your respiratory system. Your conducting portion transports your air but does not participate in gaseous exchange. It will just transport the inhaled air to your lungs, it will just transport your air, inhaled air. In your conducting portion, it involves your nasal cavities, pharynx, larynx, trachea, and bronchi up to your respiratory bronchiole. Okay? You have here an illustration of your terminal bronchiole, okay? From your bronchiole going to your terminal bronchiole to your respiratory bronchiole. And yes, your respiratory bronchiole will branch out further, giving rise to your alveolar sacs, alveolar duct, and then your alveoli. Okay, your respiratory portion, it is involved in the gas exchange. And yes, you have here your respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts, alveolar sacs, and your alveoli. Also, You have an upper respiratory tract and lower respiratory tract based on anatomical position. Your upper respiratory tract will include your nasal cavity, paranasal sinuses, and nasopharynx. And your lower respiratory tract will include your larynx, trachea, and lungs accordingly. Please note that during the passage of your air and there's in the respiratory tract, there is what you call as conditioning of your air. Your air undergoes conditioning that involves warming, moistening, and filtration of the air. Okay, you have here your goblet cells present that will secrete mucus. It will secrete mucus, and the mucus will cover the inner aspect of your respiratory passage and will trap particulate matter to keep the passage moist. And yes, please note that your goblet cells, this one is also involved in the conditioning of your air. Okay, you have here an illustration of your lungs. Okay, your lungs, the air is conveyed from the nasal cavity, going to your larynx, going to your trachea, going to your bronchus, to your bronchioles, and then to your alveoli. Okay, that is this one actually is your respiratory. Take a look at your nasal cavity. Your nasal cavity is a paired chamber separated by a nasal septum. Okay, your nasal cavities extends from the nostrils to the posterior nares. And please note that the nasal cavity, the anterior portion of your nasal cavity, communicates with the exterior. Okay, with the outside environment, while the posterior portion of the nasal cavity communicates with the nasopharynx, Please note that the mucosa of your nasal cavity are grouped in three zones. You have the vestibule, a respiratory zone, and an olfactory zone accordingly. Vestibule of your nasal cavity is the anterior dilated part of your nasal cavities. And yes, the mucosa is lined by the mucosa is lined by stratified squamous epithelium. It is lined by stratified squamous epithelium, and it contains vibrissae. Your vibrissae here, they are stiff hairs in the vestibule. And what do? They trap big particulate matter. They trap big particulate matter. Okay, please note that if you remember in the conditioning of your air, your vibrissae here will somewhat is part also of the conditioning of your air because it traps particulate matter. Okay, the anterior part of the vestibule is continuous with the nasal cavity, and it shows a transition zone from stratified squamous epithelium to pseudostratified columnar. There is a transition from stratified squamous going to pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Your respiratory zone of the nasal cavities is lined by ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Please note, it is ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium. And yes, it has a lamina propria. Please note that your lamina propria here is a loose connective tissue. Okay, your lining epithelium. After your lining epithelium, then you have your lamina propria. Your lamina propria is a loose connective tissue which is firmly adherent with deeper bones and cartilages. Present in your present in your respiratory zone of your nasal cavities are ciliated cells. Please note that the ciliated cells, these are columnar cells with cilia that project into the mucus covering of the epithelium. And what do? They trap particulate matter. Okay, you have goblet cells. These are flash-shaped cells that are scattered in the epithelium, and they produce mucus. Okay, they produce mucus accordingly. Okay, also present in the lamina propria are eosinophils, lymphocytes. Please note it is a connective tissue. There are eosinophils, lymphocytes, and other immune cells accordingly. That in case of allergic rhinitis, your eosinophils will increase in number. Okay, they will increase in number. Aside from that, your lamina propria contains numerous small mucus acini and some serous demileunes. And what does it do? They produce, or what do they do? They produce mucus to keep the air passage moist. And yes, this one also contributes to the conditioning of your air as it passes through accordingly. Okay, please note that during viral infections, like example, a coryza or during a common cold situation, your lamina propria becomes edematous. The lamina propria of your nasal cavity becomes edematous, and what will it do? Since it is edematous, there is a somewhat swelling of the tissue. Since there is an edema, it will block the air passage and will create difficulty in breathing. Please note again the lamina propria in cases of nasal or viral infections like common colds, the lamina propria becomes edematous and will block the air passages, thereby creating a difficulty in breathing. Present also in the respiratory zone of your nasal cavities are non-ciliated columnar cells or your brush cells. Instead of cilia, it has microvilli on the apical surface. And what does it do? Your non-ciliated columnar cells or brush cells secrete serous fluid. Also, you have small granule cells which lie in the basal layer and contain secretory granules. And basal cells are also present which lie along basal lamina and act as stem cells. Please note that usually naman, when you say basal cells, they act as your stem cells. They produce new cells. Okay? And then you have your olfactory segment. Your olfactory segment is located in the upper part of the nasal cavity in a small area. And yes, it has a mucosa. Your olfactory mucosa is yellowish in color, whereas the respiratory mucosa is pink in color. And yes, present in your olfactory segment of your nasal cavity are olfactory cells. Olfactory cells, these are modified neurons, accordingly, bipolar neurons. And what do? They act as olfactory receptors. Olfactory receptors. And what does it mean by an olfactory receptor? Okay, please note that this olfactory receptor detects odor molecules and they initiate the sense of smell by converting chemical signals into electrical impulses sent to the brain. In short, they detect your odor. Okay, yan. So yes, they detect your odor. And you have your sustentacular cells. Your sustentacular cells, these are columnar cells that provide mechanical support to your olfactory cells. Okay, they provide mechanical support to your olfactory cells. Okay, and then you have basal cells still. They act like germinal cells for your supporting cells. Germinal cells, they produce or they are your stem cells, which produce new cells. And then you have your brush cells. They are secretory cells with microvilli. Here is a diagram showing you the components of your olfactory mucosa. Okay, you have your olfactory epithelial surface, you have your Bowman's glands and the nerves leaving the base of your olfactory epithelial cells, of course, on their way to the main olfactory nerve. Okay, you have your Sustentacular cells that will provide support here. Okay, that is for your olfactory. You have here a histologic image of your nasal mucosa. Your nasal mucosa, please note that you have here your respiratory epithelium. Your respiratory epithelium is again a pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. And yes, it is supported by your lamina propria. This is your lamina propria, which is rich in blood vessels and the serous and mucous glands accordingly. You have your serous glands and mucous glands present. And please note, as what we said earlier, these glands, okay, together with your epithelial goblet cells, trap the secretion of the glands together with your epithelial goblet cells trap small particles in the inspired air in a thin layer of surface mucus. And yes, the mucus layer is propelled towards the pharynx by the coordinated movement of the cilia. Okay, that is, this one again is your nasal mucosa. Then you have your pharynx. Your pharynx connects your nasal cavity with the larynx for communication of air. And yes, it acts as a passage for food from the oral cavity to your esophagus. And it is accordingly divided into three. You have your nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. It is a fibromuscular tube. Your nasopharynx is lined by ciliated columnar or pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. And then your oropharynx and your laryngopharynx, they are lined by stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, stratified squamous epithelium. Please note kasi that your pharynx, it is both a passageway of air and food. Okay, at this portion, okay, this portion, your oropharynx and laryngopharynx, okay, these portions come in contact with food. That is why the lining epithelium is stratified squamous epithelium. Your lamina propria shows diffuse lymphocytes. It shows diffuse lymphocytes. Please note that there are two lymphatic aggregation present. You have your chobal tonsil, which is located just underneath the epithelium. Okay, and yes, your palatine tonsil, it lies in the oropharynx. Please note that your tonsils here, they are part of your mucosa-associated lymphoid tissue, which will somewhat provide or yes, provide immunity to an individual. They are part of the immune system of an individual. Okay? A submucosa, which is made of numerous mucous glands, and then a muscle layer, which consists of skeletal muscle fibers of pharyngeal constrictors. Okay, you have here a histologic image of your nasopharynx. Okay, you have in your nasopharynx here. The RA here is your respiratory epithelium. And yes, kita nyo naman po, it is a pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Pseudostratified columnar. Okay, you have your larynx. Your larynx is an airway passage that conducts air from your laryngopharynx to your trachea, and it is a permanent passage consisting of your mucous membrane. The larynx is supported by cartilage and muscles, giving you a non-collapsible appearance. Your larynx is non-collapsible due to the presence again of your cartilage here. And yes, aside from that, it also serves as an organ of phonation. In your larynx, you have what you call as true vocal cords or true cords, and then you have a false vocal cords or your false cords. The vibration of the true chords will generate sound, and the character of that sound is modified by your false chords. Okay, please note that movement of your true chords to create sound is controlled is voluntarily controlled. It is voluntarily controlled. And yes, Your true and part of the epiglottis are covered by stratified squamous epithelium. Your true and part of your epiglottis are covered by stratified squamous epithelium. And all other structures of your larynx are covered by ciliated columnar epithelium. Again, all other structures of your larynx are covered by ciliated columnar epithelium with mucus secreting goblet cells, with goblet cells, of course. Please note that your larynx is supported by the following cartilages, giving you a non-collapsible appearance. You have hyaline cartilage, you have a thyroid cartilage, your cricoid, and then your arytenoid. Your arytenoid here is paired. Okay, arytenoid is paired, while your cricoid and thyroid, they are unpaired accordingly. And then you have your elastic cartilages, you have your epiglottis, your cuneiform, and then corniculate. Your epiglottis here is unpaired, while your cuneiform and corniculate, they are paired elastic cartilages. Okay. Your larynx, the mucous membrane of your larynx shows two folds in the lumen of your larynx, a superior vestibular folds and inferior vocal folds accordingly. Your two folds are superior vestibular and inferior vocal folds. The anterior surface and the upper part of your posterior surface of epiglottis, together with the upper part of your are epiglo epiglottic folds, they are lined by stratified squamous epithelium. And yes, this portion of your larynx comes in contact with food. The interior of the larynx is lined by ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium, except for your vocal cords, that folds that are lined by stratified squamous epithelium. Please note that this modification of your epithelium may be due to the continuous vibration of the vocal folds. Okay, and the mucous membrane is loosely attached to cartilages, except over vocal ligaments and over posterior surface of epiglottis. Mucus glands are numerous over your epiglottis, at the lower part of your are epiglottic folds, and saculate glands in the saccule. What will they do? These mucus glands they provide lubrication to your vocal folds by means of their secretions. Also, lining cells of your vocal folds show microvilli and microplicae. Okay, these are ridge-like folding of your plasma membrane. And yes, they help in maintaining the moisture of vocal folds by retention of fluid. Okay? Kasi po, bawal mag-dry ang vocal folds. Okay, this one is a histologic illustration of a larynx. Okay, of a larynx. Okay, it has toe folds which protrude in the airway. Okay, and so the F here is your false vocal fold, the F1, okay, which is covered by ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, and so which is your RE? Yan po siya. And then you have a seromucous glands. You have your G here, which are your seromucous glands accordingly. Okay, and so yes, that is for your larynx. Okay, your epiglottis. Your epiglottis is a flap-like structure that diverts your food from the oral cavity to your esophagus and closes your laryngeal inlet at the time of food passage to avoid choking. Okay, it consists of a central core of elastic cartilage covered by a mucous membrane. And the core of your epiglottis again is made of, a typical yellow elastic cartilage. The central core is an elastic cartilage. The lining epithelium is non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium on its anterior or lingual surface, and the upper part of the posterior surface accordingly. Okay, you have a ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium that rests on the posterior surface. Goblet cells are present in your ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Please note that there are few taste buds that are present at the posterior surface of your epiglottis. There is a lamina propria that is present here, which what do you call this? Which houses mucus glands that uh, that secrete mucus accordingly. Okay. Your trachea. Your trachea is a cartilaginous tube that acts as an air passage from your larynx to the lungs. Okay, it has a length of about 10 centimeters, a diameter of 2.5 centimeters on the outer, and 1.5 to 2 centimeters on an inner. Okay, or the inner diameter is 1.5 to 2 centimeters. The trachea divides into main bronchi, sorry. It divides into the main bronchi. And yes, please note that your trachea is non-collapsible. Why again? Due to the presence of your cartilages. It is non-collapsible or it remains open due to the presence of your cartilages. A distinguishing feature or a unique feature of your trachea is the presence of your C-shaped hyaline cartilages or C-shaped hyaline cartilages or incomplete cartilages accordingly. Okay, you have your trachea, it has layers. You have a mucosa, a submucosa, a cartilage muscular layer, your adventitia. Okay, please note that your mucosa or the lining epithelium of your trachea is a respiratory epithelium pa rin, or your pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Your ciliated columnar cells, they possess cilia, okay, at about 250 cilia per cell. Okay, and the cells extend to full thickness of the epithelium. The cilia appear as short hair-like projections. And yes, what do they do? The coordinated movement of your cilia will propel the mucus and trapped particles toward the pharynx and, of course, will protect the lungs toward the pharynx for possible elimination. Okay? You have mucus cells present. Your mucus cells present in the mucosa, these mucus secreting cells do not have cilia. Okay, they occupy a full thickness of the epithelium pa rin. Okay, please note that okay, on H&E staining, mucus is washed out and the cells show clear cytoplasm with basally placed nucleus. Again, on H&E hematoxylin and eosin staining, during the preparation of a slide, mucus is washed out and the cells show clear cytoplasm with basally placed nuclei. Your brush cells, they are columnar cells with blunt microvilli. Okay, blunt microvilli. Okay, they form synapse with sensory nerve endings and functions as receptor cells. And then you have your small granule cells or your Kolchitsky cells or your K cells. This one is identified using your silver staining techniques. And what do they do? The function is similar to your enteroendocrine cells of the gut, and they show granules. And these granules, secretory granules, contain catecholamines. Catecholamines. Okay, catecholamines. And then you have your basal cells. Since basal cells po again, they act as germinal cells, or yes, they divide to produce your other cells. Okay, of your tracheal epithelium. And the nuclei form a row adjacent to the basal lamina. Okay, your trachea has a thick basement membrane. This thick basement membrane of your trachea is a characteristic feature. Okay, characteristic feature of your trachea. And then present still in the mucosa is a lamina propria. Your lamina propria is made of loose connective tissue. It is made of loose connective tissue, and yes, it contains numerous elastic fibers. It has numerous elastic fibers. Please note that at the junction of your lamina propria with the submucosa, elastic fibers are more in number and they form an elastic membrane. Again, elastic fibers are more in number at the junction of your submucosa and they form an elastic membrane. But then please note that this elastic membrane is visible with Orsin staining technique. It is visible with Orsin staining technique and it is not visible with hematoxylin and eosin staining. Aside from that, your lamina propria may show diffuse lymphocytes and lymphatic follicles in the form of bulk or your bronchus-associated lymphoid tissue. Please note, please remember that when we talk about your lymphoid tissues, your bulk is a lymphoid tissue which is involved in the immunity or which is part of the immune system of an individual. Mucosa, your submucosa contains mucus acini with serous demileuns and ducts of these glands. Okay, and it also contains lymphatic follicles, blood vessels, and lymphatics. On hematoxylin and eosin staining, it is difficult to distinguish the demarcation between your lamina propria and your submucosa. Again, on hematoxylin and eosin staining, it is difficult to distinguish the demarcation between your lamina propria and your submucosa. Diba? Kasi your lamina propria is part of the mucosa. Okay? And then you have your tracheal cartilage and trachealis muscle. Diba? Kasi you have the layers. You have your mucosa. Present in your mucosa is your pseudostratified or the lining epithelium, and then after your lining epithelium is your lamina propria. Please note that the lining epithelium it comes in contact with the air, diba? It comes in contact with the air, and then your lamina propria. After your lamina propria is your second layer. You have your submucosa. Mucosa consists of course, you have your lining epithelium and the lamina propria, and then you have your submucosa. After your submucosa, you have your tracheal cartilage and trachealis muscle layer. Okay, your tracheal cartilage contains, or the trachea contains 16 to 20 C-shaped hyaline cartilage rings. Please note it's C-shaped, meaning it's incomplete. It does not encircle the whole trachea. The gap is bridged by fibroelastic tissue, or it is connected by fibroelastic tissue and a trachealis muscle. Okay, your hyaline cartilage. Going back when we take a look when we talked about your cartilages, your hyaline cartilage consists of a chondrocytes lying in a lacunae, chondrocytes present in a lacunae, and then a surrounding homogeneous matrix and a perichondrium. Please note that your trachea with advancing age, the hyaline cartilage present in your trachea may get calcified. As you age, the hyaline cartilage may get calcified. This one is a histologic image of your trachea. This one here is your C-shaped hyaline cartilage rings. Okay, this is your C-shape. Of course, this is your lining epithelium, and then you have your lamina propria. After your lamina propria is your submucosa, and then your tracheal cartilage layer, and then your trachealis muscle layer. Of course, this one, okay, your this portion connects, okay, your incomplete tracheal cartilage. Okay, and yes, your tracheal cartilage is made of your sorry, your tracheal cartilage is a hyaline cartilage, and what connects is a muscle and a connective tissue. Okay, another one. Okay, you have here the muscle that connects you have smooth muscle, or the muscle that connects your trachea, your tracheal cartilages. This is your cartilage, incomplete. Okay, and then there is an adventitia. There is an adventitia which is made of fibroelastic connective tissue layer that contains blood vessels and nerves. Okay, this one is a histologic image of your trachea. Your RE here is your respiratory epithelium, which is again your ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium. And then you have your lamina propria, which is made of loose connective tissues, which houses mucus and seromucous cells, glands. Okay, your submucosa, and then your advent. Okay. Your lungs. Your lungs here, these are pair of organs that are the principal site of gaseous exchange. And yes, they consist of a pleural covering, a connective tissue septa, and a lung parenchyma with with airway passage. Okay, please note that your principal bronchus divides into lobar bronchi. Your what you call this? Your trachea will penetrate. Your trachea will divide into principal bronchus, and this bronchus will penetrate the lungs. Okay, your principal bronchus divides into lobar bronchus that enter the lungs to form intrapulmonary bronchi. Okay, and please note that the histological features of your trachea and your principal bronchi are the same. Okay, there is a submucosa which is made of, sorry, there is a mucosa which is made of respiratory epithelium and lamina propria, a submucosa, and then a tracheal cartilage and trachealis muscle layer. And then after that, you have an adventitia. With this, okay, in your bronchus, there is the presence of your incomplete cartilage, hyaline cartilage rings. Okay, your intrapulmonary bronchi includes secondary bronchi and tertiary or segmental bronchi. And this segmental bronchi divide into many small bronchi that finally form your bronchiole. Okay, your lungs. Still, your intrapulmonary pulmonary bronchi have the following layers. You have a mucosa, a muscular layer, a submucosa cartilage, and then an adventitia. Okay, your mucosa consists of a pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium with goblet cells. The height of the epithelium accordingly decreases as the size of the bronchi decreases. That is actually the general rule in your respiratory system, in your respiratory tract, as the size of the bronchi, as the size of the airway passage decreases, the uh, height also of the epithelium will decrease. Kaya po, by the end, by your alveoli, at the alveoli, hindi na po siya tall. It is what we call is flat cells na po. Okay, your lamina propria contains many elastic fibers and seromucous glands accordingly. Okay, this one is a histologic image of your primary bronchus. Okay, you have your primary bronchus. You have your respiratory epithelium. Please note, kita pa rin po your cilia. Okay, kita pa rin naman po yung cilia, your respiratory epithelium, okay, which is ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium, your lamina propria, and then your lamina propria, and then you have your muscular layer, and then your submucosa accordingly. Okay, this one is an enlarged version of your bronchial epithelium. I mean of your bronchial, yeah. Okay, you have here your uh, epithelium, your pseudostratified columnar epithelium, ciliated columnar epithelium. You have your basal cells present, okay? And Okay, and then you have your muscular layer. Your muscular layer is a smooth muscle layer that forms a complete circumferential layer around the epithelium in the intrapulmonary bronchi. The smooth muscle fibers are arranged spirally and help to maintain the proper diameter of your airway passage. Please note they are arranged spirally. And yes, the smooth muscle can either cause or can either, okay, dilate or can either constrict the airway passage. Okay, and then you have your submucosa. Your submucosa consists of loose connective tissue with seromucous cartilage layer. Okay, again, your intrapulmonary bronchi shows presence of discontinuous cartilage plates, and these cartilage plates will help or they help keep the bronchi open. Cartilaginous plates are externally surrounded by a connective tissue layer containing blood vessels and the lung parenchyma. Okay, and so that is for the adventitial layer of your intrapulmonary bronchi. Actually is a histologic image of a segmental bronchus. Okay, a segmental bronchus. You have here, okay, and so a cartilage, discontinuous cartilage plates. Okay, discontinuous cartilage plates, which again will help to keep the bronchi open. Okay, of course, you have your smooth mass, sorry, your mucosa, which is lined by pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. This is the lumen, of course. You have your smooth muscle present here, smooth muscle. You have your lamina propria. You have your lamina propria present here, okay? And then you have your lymphoid tissues, diffuse lymphoid tissues present, okay? And so you have such. Okay, your bronchioles. Your bronchioles, they are airway tubules that are less than 1 mm in diameter. And please note that your bronchioles, this one do not have cartilage and submucosal glands. Again, your bronchioles, they do not have cartilage and submucosal glands. Your pulmonary lobule, these are small part of your bronchopulmonary segment that is supplied by a single bronchiole. And this bronchiole further divides to give rise to terminal bronchiole. You have a pulmonary sinus, which is a small part of the lung that is supplied by a terminal bronchiole. Pulmonary sinus. Okay, a small part of the lung that is supplied by a terminal bronchiole, and this terminal bronchiole further divides into respiratory bronchiole and alveoli. Okay, this is the sequence. Okay, your segmental bronchus will what you call this, give rise to your larger bronchiole, and then your larger bronchiole will give rise to your terminal bronchiole, and then your terminal bronchiole to your respiratory bronchiole. Your respiratory bronchiole will give rise to your alveolar duct, and then to your alveolar duct to your alveolar sac to your alveoli. Okay, your bronchiole, again, it does not have a cartilage, no cartilage layer. Okay, it only has a mucosa, smooth muscle layer, and a connective tissue layer. The mucosa, okay, the lining epithelium of the mucosa varies according to the site of the bronchiole. For larger bronchioles, the mucosa is lined by ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium with goblet cells. That is for your larger bronchioles. Bronchioles, it is lined by simple ciliated columnar epithelium with goblet cells. Please note, it is simple. It's not pseudostratified. Okay, it is simple. Your medium bronchioles is lined by simple ciliated columnar epithelium with few goblet cells. Okay, and then you have your smaller or your terminal bronchioles. It is lined by simple cuboidal epithelium. It is cuboidal with clara cells and no goblet cells because the goblet cells is replaced by clara cells. Okay? Nakita nyo the transition from tall to not tall cells? to short cells, tall to short cells. Okay, your bronchioles do not have again mucus glands in the lamina propria. Okay, they do not have mucus glands in the lamina propria. And again, the bronchioles do not have goblet cells, or your terminal bronchioles, your smaller bronchioles, do not have goblet cells. Okay, the goblet cells, instead of goblet cells, you have clara cells, clara cells. Accordingly is an illustration of a bronchiole, a histologic image. Of course, this is the lumen, okay, and then you have the lining epithelium, the lining epithelium, okay, and then you have your muscle layer. Okay, you have here your cells. Okay, your clara cells, please note that they are non-ciliated cells. They are non-ciliated cells, and what do they do? Again, they replace goblet cells in the terminal bronchioles, because in your medium bronchioles, you have few goblet cells. In your smaller or the terminal bronchioles, there are no goblet cells already. What are present are clara cells. And yes, what do they do? They secrete surface active protein and clara cell secretory protein. Okay, what does this surface active agent do? It reduces the surface tension and reduces collapsing tendency of your airway passage. Okay, your surface active agent is a surfactant, which will reduce surface tension and reduces collapsing tendency of the airway passage. What about your clara cell protein? Okay, your clara cell protein, they are used as a marker for lung and injury. Okay, they are used as a marker for lung injury, and they are present in bronchoalveolar lavage and in the serum. Okay, again, your clara cells, they have no cilia. They are non-ciliated. But then, instead of cilia, they have microvilli on the apical surface. And yes, they are present predominantly in your terminal bronchioles, because in your terminal bronchioles, no goblet cells. The goblet cells are replaced by clara cells. Okay, and yes, your clara cells overall functions to provide protection against inhaled harmful chemicals and protect the alveoli of course, as well as it also serves as stem cell. It will also serve as stem cell. Okay, that is for your clara cells. There is this smooth muscle layer present in your bronchioles, which is the predominant layer on the wall of your bronchioles. Accordingly, it is controlled under autonomic nervous system and regulates the passage of air through the bronchioles. Okay, there is this connective tissue layer. Your bronchioles are surrounded by a small amount of connective tissue, which separates the bronchioles from your adjacent structures. This one is rich in elastic fibers. This connective tissue layer of your bronchiole is rich in elastic fibers, which is responsible for recoiling of the lungs, okay, during breathing, of course. Okay, this one is a terminal portion of your respiratory tree. Okay, it is a terminal portion of your respiratory tree. Your R here is a respiratory bronchi. Your R is a respiratory bronchi. Your AR is your alveolar ring. Okay, your alveolar ring. Your AD here is your alveolar duct. Okay, this is your alveolar duct, diba? Kasi from your respiratory from your respiratory bronchiole, okay, it will give rise to your alveolar duct, to your alveolar sac, and then to your alveoli. Okay, respiratory bronchiole, and then alveolar ring. Okay, your alveolar duct, and then your alveolar duct, and then your alveolar sac, and then your alveoli. Okay, that is for this one. Okay, and your terminal bronchiole to your respiratory bronchiole, Okay, this is an alveolar ring, alveolar duct, alveolar sac, and then your alveoli. Okay, please note you have type 1 and type 2 pneumocyte present in here. Okay, your respiratory bronchiole, please note your respiratory bronchiole measures 0.5 millimeters in diameter. Okay, it measures 0.5 millimeters in diameter, and yes, it participates in gaseous exchange. Participates in gaseous exchange, but very minimal. Okay, and so yes, it participates in gaseous exchange kaya siya tinawag na respiratory bronchiole. Okay? Respiratory bronchiole has a simple cuboidal epithelium. A simple cuboidal epithelium, please note again, your cells gradually lose your cilia as it moves towards the distal side of the bronchiole. Again, in respiratory bronchiole, there are Clara cells, no goblet cells in here. Okay, smooth muscle cells surrounds the epithelium. Your simple cuboidal epithelium is surrounded by a smooth muscle cell and a layer of delicate connective tissue that separates your respiratory bronchiole from the adjacent structures. Okay, and your respiratory bronchiole show few alveolar outpouchings. Okay, so your layers of your respiratory bronchiole, the epithelium, a smooth muscle layer, and then a delicate layer of connective tissue of your alveolar ducts and your alveolar sacs. Each respiratory bronchiole will give rise to 2 to 3 alveolar ducts, and each alveolar ducts give rise to space called alveolar sac that is surrounded by clusters of alveoli. The surrounding alveoli open into the alveoli sac. So ganito po ang flow from your respiratory bronchiole to your alveolar duct, to your alveolar sac, then finally to your alveoli. Okay? Let's take a look at this illustration from your terminal bronchioles going to your respiratory bronchioles, and then, yes, respiratory bronchioles will give rise to your alveolar duct. Okay, a duct is a passage, diba? Okay, to your alveolar duct, and then alveolar sacs, and then to finally to your alveoli. These are your alveoli, 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 alveoli. Okay, that is for your flow. Alveoli. Your alveoli is a thin-walled polyhedral. Okay, it is a thin-walled polyhedral sac-like terminal air spaces of the respiratory system. It constitutes the actual site for air exchange. Sabi ko kanina, okay, your respiratory bronchiole, there is a very gas exchange takes place in the respiratory bronchiole. But then the gaseous exchange is very minimal comparing it with your alveoli because your alveoli, that is the actual site for air exchange. Please note, each lung contains 150 to 250 million alveoli. Okay, and yes, the total surface area of your alveoli is 75 meters squared, and that is equal to the approximate surface area of a tennis court, just for your information. Okay, the site of each alveoli is 200 micrometers in diameter. Okay, the site is 200 micrometers, the size is 200 micrometers in diameter. Okay. This one is an illustration of an alveoli. Okay, you have your alveoli. You have your P2 here is your type 2 pneumocyte. You have your P1 as your type 1 pneumocyte. And of course, your red cells, your red blood cell, your RBC, this one is present in the capillary. Okay, in the capillary already. Okay, this one, at the margins of the openings of your alveoli, you have elastin that is condensed to form a supportive ring. Okay, a supportive ring. Your elastin and the septal collagen of your alveolar wall are continuous with the adjacent alveoli. With that, it forms a supporting framework for the lung parenchyma. Okay? You have alveolar macrophage present here, alveolar macrophage. That your adjacent alveoli are separated from each other by a thin layer of connective tissue containing blood capillaries, and also the alveoli septum contains fibroblasts and macrophages. And of course, your alveoli, it is lined by simple squamous epithelium. Your alveoli is lined by simple squamous epithelium, di ba? From cuboidal, from tall columnar, and then to cuboidal going to your simple squamous epithelium. Finally, in your alveoli is lined by type 1 and type 2 pneumocyte and occasional brush cells. Your type 1 pneumocytes, they are simple squamous cells connected with each other by occluding junctions. Please note that these cells cannot undergo cell division. Okay, your type 1 pneumocytes represent about 40% of your alveolar cell population, but they form 90% of the surface area lining the alveolar sacs and your alveoli. Mas unti sila, but they cover the surface area. But they cover most of the surface area. Sabi natin, 90% of the surface area lining are of your alveolar and your alveoli are covered by type 1 pneumocyte. Type 2 pneumocyte, they are also called as septal cells or great alveolar cells or your type 2 alveolar cells accordingly. They are cuboidal in shape and they have an abundant cytoplasm. Please note that your type 2 pneumocytes, they produce a surfactant called as your dipalmitol phosphatidylcholine. Dipalmitol phosphatidylcholine. Okay, and yes, also it helps to reduce surface tension and keep the alveoli open. Okay, please note that your Clara cells your also produce a surfactant, 'di ba? It also produces a surfactant and same function pa rin. Okay? Your type 2 pneumocytes, they act as progenitor cells of type 1 pneumocytes accordingly. Please note that your type 2 pneumocyte represents 60% of your alveolar cell population. Mas marami po sila comparing it with the 40% for type 1. But your type 2 pneumocytes, they occupy 5 to 10% of your alveolar surface area. Okay, they occupy 5 to 10% of your alveolar surface area. Comparing it with your type 1, uh, which occupy 90% of your alveolar and your alveoli surface area. Okay, brush cells are also present. You have few brush cells are also present in the alveolar epithelium, and they act as receptors to monitor the quality of air entering in the alveoli. Okay, and then you have your alveolar macrophage. Your alveolar macrophages lie on top of your alveolar lining cells and are also apparently seen in the alveolar space, in the free alveolar space. Okay, what do they do? Your alveolar macrophage, they patrol the alveolar air spaces in the interalveolar septa. Okay, and so they move freely in between. Okay, and what do? They phagocytose inhaled debris. Okay, they phagocytose inhaled debris like fine dust, including carbon. Okay, and so your alveolar macrophage, they are important defense mechanism against inhaled bacteria. Aside from that, they also remove excess surfactant and secrete a large number of agents, including enzymes such as lysozyme, collagenases, elastases, and acid hydrolases, which are important in, okay, providing protection against harmful substances. The gas exchange between your alveolar air and the blood occurs through your blood-air barrier. Okay, and this blood-air barrier has the following components: a thin layer of surfactant that is produced by your type 1 pneumocyte, sorry, type 2. Okay, the thin layer of surfactant is produced by your type 2 pneumocyte, and then a simple squamous epithelium of your lung alveoli, and then a fused basal lamina of alveolar epithelium and capillary endothelium, and then a continuous capillary endothelium. Please note that your blood-air barrier is designed so that it will accommodate a the exchange of gases between the blood in the capillaries and the air present in the alveoli. Okay, it is designed so that there is an easy diffusion of gases between the blood and between the air in the alveoli. Okay, have here an image of your interalveolar septum showing the pulmonary capillaries coursing through the alveolar wall. Okay, and so of course this is your alveolar capillaries, and then this is your alveolar wall. Okay, and so your alveolar wall. Your alveolar wall is covered by type 1 pneumocyte. Okay. Cavities. These are two cavities in the thorax which house the right and left lungs. Okay, you have your pleura, which is a smooth layer that lines the cavities. You have a parietal pleura and a visceral pleura. Your parietal pleura is part of the lungs which forms the internal lining of the chest cavities. And then your visceral pleura is the external coating of the lungs. It's the external coating of the lungs. Parietal and visceral pleura are normally in contact, but are separated by a potential space containing a small amount of serous fluid. And you call that serous fluid as a pleural fluid. This pleural fluid lubricates the environment of the visceral upon parietal pleura during breathing accordingly. Okay? Okay, this is accordingly a visceral pleura. Okay, the outer surface is lined by a layer of flattened mesothelium. Okay, at ito po yun. Okay, your flattened mesothelium, which is supported by a thin basement membrane. Okay, and then you have an underlying fibrous supporting tissue, which is made of collagen and elastic fibers. Okay, and then you have your blood supply of the lungs. Okay, and so your blood supply, you have your pulmonary vascular system and then your bronchial vascular system. Please note that your lungs receives deoxygenated blood. The oxygenated blood is carried to the pulmonary arterial trunk and then into the right and left pulmonary arteries. Okay, they enter the lungs at the lung hilum alongside the main bronchi and follow the course of the bronchi into the lungs. Okay, they divide into progressively smaller branches as the bronchi divides also. Okay, again, they follow the course of your bronchi. Please note that with each division of your arteries, they become smaller. As also as your bronchi divide, your arteries also divide. And they become smaller. Same with the course of your bronchial tree. Okay? Also, the structure of the wall changes. Your proximal pulmonary arteries, the main pulmonary trunk and large pulmonary arteries are elastic arteries similar to the aorta, but they are thinner walled. Okay, they have thinner walled with elastic fibers as an important component of their tunica media. Beyond the point where the bronchi lose their cartilage plates to become bronchioles, your pulmonary arteries become muscular arteries. Okay, please note that there is a gradual transition from elastic to muscular. In your pulmonary arteries becomes muscular arteries with distinct elastic laminae and a tunica media that is almost completely composed of smooth muscle. Okay, your distal pulmonary arteries continue to follow the distribution of your bronchioles, and they become progressively smaller as your tunica media becomes thinner, eventually becoming discontinuous in the pulmonary arterioles. Small pulmonary arterioles transfer blood into the pulmonary capillaries. Your pulmonary capillaries, the blood becomes oxygenated and is then passed through pulmonary venules into a series of gradually enlarging venules and veins. Okay, that is why please note that your pulmonary vein is the only vein in the body that carries oxygenated blood. And then your pulmonary arteries, they are the only arteries in the body that carries the oxygenated blood. Ends our respiratory system lecture. Okay, thank you. This has been Gael reminding you to live fully, love deeply, love often, keep learning, and never forget to enjoy the ride. Thank you again, and see you guys around.